Hey guys, we're going to look at the paper 1 essay today. Well, it could be a debate, an essay or a story. I'm looking at an essay today. My title is Sucking the Hair and Salah Tá Nuan, Irish Society, what your Tishel Ginnerduck here, Irish Society today. Quite a general, easy topic really if you ask me. You get to talk about anything that society is up in arms about, which could be really anything in this day and age. So before we actually get into what I'm going to talk about in the marking scheme, let's have a look at where this appears in the exam. It's 2022 exam, it's paper 1, it's the essay, 100 marks, which equates to 16.7% of the overall grade. It's probably the hardest question in Irish, maybe that with the clues tishkent. Marks wise, if you don't know your stuff pretty well here, you're going to drop marks very rapidly. How do you gain your marks, how do you lose your marks? You need to know your marking scheme. 80 marks for your level of Irish. So if you've ever got an essay back and it just has a grade on it, well then you don't really know how you need to improve. So here's what it is. You get 80 marks for your level of Irish. That's split into two sections, ability and accuracy. Comus like crinus, as I always say. So basically, how good is your language, and then what was your accuracy of language like? That's basically your grammar mark. Now, it isn't two separate marks of 40, it's just split as an overall piece that your examiner evaluates it, but it's 80 marks, and they're the two things that are taken into consideration. Tenses, shavus, urus, declainting and animuckle, which would be the Tishel Ginnerduck if you've heard of that, for your grammar. And then the other side of it is, how good is your vocabulary? Do you have a wide range of vocabulary? Are you repeating phrases, or do you have things to say in different ways? 15 marks for your over, for your subject. Are you writing about the right topic? And if you write about the wrong topic altogether, thinking that you just get 80 marks for quality Irish, you'll get 0. 5 marks for your style. Style meaning that if it's an essay that needs to be balanced, like the pros and cons, so you have two sides to that. If you have paragraphs of equal length, so the essay wants to be roughly about 600 words is a good essay. If you're looking for a H1, probably more. But 600 words is what most people will write. So that's 6 paragraphs of roughly 100 words per piece. Don't have a paragraph of 200 words and the next paragraph of 45 words. It's I suppose it wouldn't have a great balance to it, wouldn't have a great flow to it. So make sure it flows, number one, so that the points make sense and that you're not just sticking in loads of random points. Make sure you develop one singular point per paragraph and move on, explain it well. Second thing then is paragraphs of equal length. Here's what my essay is going to be. I'm going to have an opening, I'm going to talk about housing, I'm going to talk about health, I'm going to talk about the cost of living, and I'm going to talk about wealth within the education system. What do I mean by that? The other three are fairly standard: lack of houses, healthcare, cost of living. Wealth, I'm going to talk about public, private schools. Is it fair? Is it unfair? Is there an advantage? Is there not an advantage? You know, if you pay for coins, if you can't. And then finally, I'm going to have a closing paragraph. So what I have here is a very detailed essay plan for you in the notes. Reason why I don't give the essay out per se is that if I give an essay out here, everyone's just going to use it and it'll actually fall in value, because this is a creative writing session. It's called Chiapadorach with a H because it's feminine, which is composing, i.e. you're meant to compose your own essays. So we don't mind if you have all similar ideas, that's fine, but I don't want the exact same essay word for word. So I'll give you the ideas of what you need to write, give you keywords and vocabulary here, and then you go and put that together yourself so you get the benefit from it. You've all my clever ideas, but with your own language there, you'll stand out from the crowd. So my opening is Suki Eitrim Mi Feralta I Era New. So Ireland is, I suppose, is imbalanced, unfair. There's inequality in Ireland today. So Irish society is not equal. If you want to make that point, you can use that sentence and expand on it. Number 2, the equivalent war under Severus agus Buchtanach. There's an equivalent war. There's a huge conflict between Severus and poverty. Severus is wealth, Buchtanach, poverty is the other thing there. So wealth and poverty, they're fighting hand in hand, basically. Those who have not. There's many problems that are bothering or annoying people, and we'll go to list them here as I have. So laying out the plan of your essay: Tihiocht, housing; Slánta, health; Custis, Marachdala, the cost of living; Idicus, education. Tá géir gá le hachas to tírseo. Their géir gá means there's an urgent need for change in this country. So that's all you're going to do. I have 8 things there. Really though, I've kind of like 4 main sentences, 1, 2, 3 and 8. They're all 4 sentences you can copy and paste, and then you would probably need to add 6 or 7 of your own, either expanding on that, or if you have filler vocabulary you want to put in, you can do that as well. Paragraph 1 is housing. Líon na nini gan díden ag ordu. Líon na nini, the amount of people without a home or who are homeless, gan díden, without shelter, who are homeless, is ag ordu, it's rising. So if you could get a statistic there from the Central Statistics Office or something in the government, find something, you can even find it in one of the Irish newspapers online, about a statistic about homelessness rising, and then quote where you got it from, it would be very good in your essay. Níl dóhan tithe a hógáil. Not enough houses are being built. So you make that point. Housing crisis, but we're not building enough houses. Tíocht a cá. Housing for all, that's the plan that the government released. Now, depending on when you're watching this is all very new, it's up to date now. If you watch this in 4 to 5 years, there may be a new housing plan, so just be wary of that. Tíocht the Cock means housing for all, it's the government's housing plan. I said, on I broy and plan show, will this plan work? So you might figure out what's in the plan. They're building so many social houses, so many normal houses, so many apartments. Find a fault in why you think it will, or a positive why it will work, or a fault in why it won't work. Galtanis nar Kamaluk. What I mean here is that there's been promises that haven't been kept. Galtanis promise. So we've had our promises that haven't been kept in the past. What's different now? Is fusa Galtanis not Colina? It's easy to promise then to fulfill. So you're making that point that this is why governments promise things successfully, because it's easy to promise and to say sorry than to actually fulfill what you say. Kias agus price te imaha o smock. There's loads you can write about this. Kias is rent, price in its prices. The cost of rent and the cost of houses is going out of control. So you may pick an area beside you. You can talk about the rise, you can talk about the average house prices. What I get some of my own students to do is I get them to give the average salary of the country and say, look, the average salary in Ireland is €33,000 a year, I think it is, give or take. That if you put the price of a house in a certain area, how many times you need to multiply your salary to get to that house. So if you, it depends on what part of the country you're from, that'll be a good example of showing how it's going out of control. Another thing I say is people can't save for their deposit. Earlish is deposit, so it's a couple of nice things. Or Earlish, I say, is deposit. It's a couple of nice things you could say there. So that's our paragraph about housing. Paragraph 3 here is about health. Slánta. Chorus brishta luchtach. Luchtach faulty, brishta broken, chorus a system. A faulty, broken system. Not due to the workers that are in it, of course. I'm not giving out about doctors and nurses. Just about the money itself, the amount of hospitals we actually have. That they're just not fit for purpose. I think our population has doubled in 25 years and we probably still have the same amount of hospitals, so that's the issue. Listy fehev, waiting lists, that's self-explanatory. And chorus, priváideach agus paibli, the public and the private system. Priváideach, private, paibli, public. So the difference between them, how doctors can work in both. You know, if you pay, you get to skip the queue. It's now a necessity nearly maybe to have private health insurance if you want to be seen quickly. Otherwise you're facing, 12, 16, 18 hour waits in accident and emergency. Lesgúlacht and pobl ag fannacht orlan nua nalani. So laziness is it. The community or society is waiting on the new children's hospital. You can write down, it's not confirmed, but it's going to be the most expensive hospital ever built, I think. One of the most anyway in Europe. So you can kind of have a fact about that the money's going out of control. So are we spending wisely? Although we need it, are we doing things cleverly? Torastal Navaimanach wrote, or you could make the point that the salary of the person who leads the HSE is too high. That was in the news a lot. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. You can just give out about that in comparison maybe to what nurses earn. Altri Dollar Immigrant, here we go. Nurses are emigrating. They can go to Canada, Australia, earn way more money there. You can make a point like that. August Kanilaka Ibra Igdolanolkis, working conditions are getting worse. So their conditions aren't improving. So that's why they're leaving. So there's 7 different topics. If you have 2 sentences on each, you probably way too much there. 3 sentences, far too much. So if you want to focus in on 2 or 3 things that you want to talk about and link it back to Irish society, because health is extremely important. Your health is your wealth, as the Shamrock says in Irish, so you need to link it back there. Number 3, the cost of living. Agoji law and ELA, protests day after day. Boss Tapa Aaron Roth the Bulshkaha. There's been a quick growth or a quick rise in the rate of inflation. Roth the Bulshkaha, the rate of inflation. Brut Milchaluk er Teilig, huge pressures on family. Huge pressure on families. For what type of things? Food, electricity, petrol, oil, gas. I hope when you look at this next year, in 2 years' time, we're not saying it's still going up, but I don't know. It may be still relevant, we may still be giving out about it. But from 2022 to 2023, the cost of food, electricity, petrol, oil and gas has skyrocketed. So that's what would have been suitable for society at the time for this essay. Mian Torastal Natira Roishal, the average salary of the country is too low compared to inflation. Nismo Dini, Fivun, Harshke, Nabuchtana. More people than ever now are under the line of poverty. So there's more and more people as costs go up, more and more people end up under that poverty line where they're struggling day in, day out. Kodei and Rachel, what is the solution? So, do you have a solution? If you think something would work, put in a solution. You don't have to be an economist, but you might have an idea. If not, you can leave that bit out. Paragraph 5 now is about wealth, Severus. So, in Uchamor, Ayenov Erangora Sitchka. So, there's kind of huge investigations or huge kind of we're looking into greatly the education system now in Ireland. There's loads of talk on the radio now, as there was last year, at public, private, is it fair, is it not fair? Even single sex and mixed schools are being really scrutinised at the moment. So you could go either route. I went with the money route. I think it's easier to talk about, but you could go with the co-ed. Should all schools go co-ed? Sean Answer no fair alta. Our education system is an old-fashioned affair. Masunu lanula continuous assessment. Is it a Rachel Sawsuit? Is it a solution that is good? So should we do continuous assessment? You could take up that point and have your whole paragraph on that about equal society. Is it fair that everyone gets to do their continuous assessment in their own schools, or would schools end up cheating? On the unhealthy link between wealth and education. What I mean by that, I think, realistically, it's I can't have any statistics here, but the more money maybe you spend on education, if two students are equally as clever, they equally work as hard. If one family has more money to put in, they can get them grinds, they can get them extra help, and they can get them all the support, there's a much better chance that student will outperform their natural ability due to all the extra help that they're getting. School and pre-vodka, private schools, course na buinti, the point system, brew, pressure, mental health. Any of those topics, you could probably write 2 huge paragraphs on that. One about money, one about how assessment is done in this country. Is it falling behind the rest of Europe? Finally, your closing. At the moment, inequality is wrong without any doubt. Tomorrow, number 2, will we have a very new era? So what would we need to do to fix this? What do you recommend? Is it a quick fix, or is it going to take time? Tell me, what do you think? You've just discussed it in detail. What can we do? Do we want equality as a society? Ask the question. Does it suit everyone to be equal? One of the things, did I mention it here? Yes, in the next point here. Look at America, I use as an example. They have no social welfare system. So if you don't make enough money, you become very poor, you're on the poverty line, you see homeless people. I know that bigger population, but there's no state supports there really over there. So I said, Donadro Celticus America, I should say, are we going towards like the craziness of America, where you could have areas that are no-go areas? If you look at America, there's certain parts they tell you not to go to because of the poverty line and the violence. So we don't want to go towards that. So we need to support people, and to do that we need to have an equal society. Mulla Ahort, give a suggestion. Ara Horta Kayla, in this case I say to look after one another, that we should help each other. And there's a Shanakal there, it's our Ska Kayla of Ireland Nadini. It's on one another we rely in this country. And then number 8, I always say at the end, if you're struggling for a Shanakal, there's another one, like who knows what will happen. It's Martin Scaly, and I'm sure time's a good storyteller, so the weather's a good storyteller. Who knows what's going to happen, we'll see over time. So that's an example there of how I would write an essay about Irish society. I think it's all very current, up to date issues that really are affecting I suppose the Irish society in the year 2022 when this exam was done. Is that okay? So the very best of luck with your own. Remember, have a flow to your points. Make sure you explain your points well. Don't mention something and move on quickly. Explain it. Tell me what you mean. Give a solution if you can, or talk about it in detail. Get the flow marks going in your essay, because that's going to help your subject, your style, and again, of course, it comes down to how you execute your essay on the day of the exam. Grammar is key to get the best marks. Best of luck with your own. It's wonderful.